Hi everybody, this is Maureen Wong for yournextstamp.com. Today we're going to be making this really pretty embossed thank you card, so let's get started. First of all, I'm using the Your Next Stamp Heart Ink Splatter stamp, and I've cut a piece of white cardstock with the largest of the rectangle die, stitch rectangle die set. I'm taking off my stamp, it's a big background stamp, and placing it on my large Martha Stewart footed stamp press. Just to let you know, I've cut out a little piece of excess polymer here because there was nothing there and it was just picking up some extra ink. So that's why mine looks like that, but yours is going to come perfectly, not cut like that. I'm inking it up here with some pink ink, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that a little off to one side. To start with, this actually does not cover a full A2 size card with one stamping, so I'm going to be doing two stampings. And the other thing you could do is stamp first in the middle and then stamp off to each side, or you can do what I'm doing here and stamp off to one side and then stamp off to the other side, so you only have to stamp twice instead of 3 times. And either way is up to you. Based on the pattern on the stamp, you'll get a different look no matter which way you do it. So it's a really neat stamp to play with. Okay, now I'm going to make another cut in my stamp. This time I'm taking off just a couple of little hearts from the side, and don't worry about cutting your stamps. You can put them back together on the acrylic block just like you would if it was a whole stamp. But what I'm going to be doing is stamping a little bit of this tiny motif in red and yellow, and it makes it a lot easier if I have this little cutout piece rather than trying to just ink up a part of the stamp and stamping it exactly where I want it. So you can see there I'm just scattering this little heart all over my panel with the red ink, and I got a little bit extra on the sides, but you know what, the great thing about this splatter stamp is that if you get a little bit of extra ink on it, it doesn't really matter because it kind of looks like part of the stamp because it's a very imperfect image. So it looks like if you get some extra ink, you just got a little bit of extra splatter, so don't worry too much about that. But the reason why I'm not cutting my little heart really close is that I want that piece to remain the exact size that it is when I cut it out of the main portion of the stamp, so that I can easily fit it back in when I want to stamp the whole image exactly how it was when I got it. So now I'm cleaning off my stamp because I'm switching over to my yellow ink. And I think this is a really pretty combo, pink, red, and yellow. And I'm putting in actually just a little bit more of the yellow, and I'm putting it a little bit more towards the center area as well as the edges. The red was a little bit too dark. I didn't want to take the chance of that obscuring or kind of getting in the way of the sentiment, which is going to go in the center. So I don't worry about that with the yellow because it's a lot lighter. So I did a bunch of yellow in the center, and that's not going to interfere with my sentiment in any way. So now I'm taking my EK Success powder tool because I'm going to be embossing, and I want to make sure that none of that ink that I stamped down there is still wet and going to stick to the powder. So I'm doing a really, really good job dusting this whole panel with that powder tool. And now I'm going to take my Whatnot Sentiment Set 5, this thank you, and I'm going to put that onto my small Martha Stewart footed stamp press. And I really like the grid on the stamp press because it makes it easy to line up things like sentiments. And actually what I'm going to do is put it down straight and then line up my grid over it. And sorry about poking my head into the shot there. But that is extra carefully to make sure that it lines up really straight. I'm taking my Versamark ink pad and I'm going to ink up that sentiment so that I can stamp it down and then emboss it. And I'm just going to line up my stamp press so it's straight against my card panel and stamp that down. And then I'm going to be embossing with some silver embossing powder. Okay, so I'm taking my heating tool and heating this up now, and I just love that effect when it actually heats up and turns silver. That is just the coolest effect. Okay, and now I'm going to adhere it to my card. I'm just using my ATG gun. And I'm covering the whole back and putting a little bit extra on just to make sure that it holds down, because that heat embossing did warp the panel just a little bit. And now I'm centering that, and I used the same color of pink cardstock that I used the pink ink so that it would match very nicely. And there you go, that is the finished card. So I hope you like it, and I hope we'll see you over at yournextstamp.com for these and many other fun products. Thank you very much for watching.